One day I had 3 restaurants I waitressed for that I loved, all of which had regular customers. I liked working more than one restaurant because it gave me more than 40 hours a week and schedule flexibility. Not to mention, who doesn't like having a discount on all your restaurants? I mean, who could beat that, right? I mean, all in all, it was hard work. And that's fine to work hard. But then one day, all these restaurants were forced to close. It was governor's orders. The whole world was suffering from a global pandemic, and one of the very first industries to feel the economic hit was the restaurant business, of which I was exclusively a part of. So that left me without work immediately, no time to look elsewhere, no severance, just no work. Governor said it would just be for 2 weeks, but in 2 weeks stretched to more, my bills were not looking savable. I had to do something. Because most businesses put on a hiring freeze until the governor's orders passed, and so much going on in the world, finding a job was even harder than usual. I wasn't even eligible for unemployment because I had not worked. I think you had to work consecutively 2 years, but it was actually 25 months. So, well, that was just peachy. And I decided that any job was better than no job, and that I was not above anything, because any singular dollar bill that I could earn was much more than I was earning sitting at home being stressed out. So the next morning I decided that today was going to be the day. I was going to get a job, and I would search and search until I got one. And, the first place I thought I could go was the grocery store because, well, grocery stores were considered essential because these kinds of stores sold food, and the governor allowed certain stores to remain open. So that's what I did. Store after store I went to, and I drove from town to town, and they were all saying the same thing, that they hired all that they were looking for to hire now. What was I going to do? I was full of tears, but I was not out of hope. Last place I went was my favorite retail store. And as I drove up, I imagined that I was going to still have the same conversation yet again that I was having all day, saying all the jobs were taken. But even knowing this would probably be the case, I decided that even if their answer was going to be no, at least I tried. Because I believe that the universe helps those that are trying. And if the universe knew where I should go, it would help me find it. Because I know that the universe truly does bless those that are willing to demonstrate unrelentless effort in this pursuit of good. So what happened next? Well, I walked into my favorite retail store, knowing full well that probably I was going to be turned away like I had been all day. And to my shock, the store manager looked at me like the famous movie from Jerry Maguire. You know that scene, the scene towards the end of the movie when Tom Cruise's character comes through the front door, groveling forgiveness, and Renee Zellweger's character says, "Shut up! Just shut up! You had me at hello." Our moment went slightly different, but extremely similar, and went more like this. Shut up, go home, and fill out your online application. You're hired. See you Monday. And just like that, the windows of heaven opened like confetti on a surprise party. I dropped to my knees in humble gratitude, thanking God for any dollar that would now come my way. And no, it was not close to what I used to earn, but it was more than literally nothing that I was earning now. Tell you what, that very next Monday went down in history for me as one of the best days of my life. It was the first day of work in weeks. I'd like to compare it to the joy of a stray wet dog on a dark, stormy night being scooped up out of the rain. During the time of the global pandemic, it's interesting to note that there was a national shortage of everyday items such as toilet paper, bottled water, toothpaste. There was no toilet paper to be had. I mean, you could literally go to any store and they would tell you they didn't have any. Or if they did, it was rationed. So to my shock, about 2 weeks into my new job, my store got our first large shipment of toilet paper in the store. The lines were so long that they piled up outside. But now that seemed like a normal scene out of the 1929 Depression. Never in my life would I imagine that I would witness a long line for toilet paper. And yet, here I was cashiering more toilet paper than ever. And, I was hard. There were sad faces in these long lines. At one point during this particular day, it was a woman's turn to cash out with me as she was next in line. I noticed her United States Post Office uniform, and she affirmed that she worked for the post office. And then she leaned over the counter, and she had this face of depleted strength, and she began expressing her exhaustion for a 10-hour day and how her feet hurt. And I could tell that many customers were listening and that, they too had tired feet, all nodding. They seemed very supportive of her distress because I think they felt it too. And I looked at her with compassion because I felt tired, and I looked down the long register line, seeing all the sad faces. So I had to say something. And I said, I'm tired too. I've been standing all day at this register, and I too have very sore, tired feet. The customers literally all nodded to me to show love and support in return, which was really nice. I stood for a moment in silence, and that was noticed by all until I finished my intended thought. And I said, I do have really sore feet, but I love my sore feet. And at this point, tears were now running down my cheeks because how hard this job was to get. And I continued, it means that I have a job. It means I have the ability to pay some of my bills and have some food on my table. I didn't have a job last week because all that is going on in the world and no one seems to be hiring for anything. But this week I do. This week I have tired, sore feet. And you know what, you guys? It is the best feeling in the world. It is a gift and a miracle. And you know what? We are all holding toilet paper. Isn't that something? Is that not a miracle to behold? Some people don't have jobs or toilet paper at this very moment. And we can all think about that, right? I'd like to take a moment and wish you all a very happy toilet paper day. And the store literally magically erupted in cheers like I had given a King's speech. And maybe to some people it might have been. I'd rather think the lesson here was perspective. Life in perspective is a good life. And a life that I can believe can only get better with patience. I believe where there is willingness to see the good, no matter what, and a willingness to demonstrate unrelentless effort in the pursuit of good, miracles can happen. Even toilet paper, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed. Even toilet paper.